The Untold Story: Why America Really Lost the Vietnam War. The spies, the traitors, the leaks, and the men who fought believing they would win. Some wars are fought with bullets, others are lost with secrets. The Vietnam War wasn't just a clash of armies. It was a silent battlefield of spies, double agents, and betrayals so deep that victory became impossible long before the first shot was fired. Tonight, I reveal the truth you were never taught in school. How North Vietnam knew America's bombing schedules, how Soviet intelligence fed Hanoi U.S. military secrets, and how American traitors helped an enemy half a world away. This is not just history, this is a tribute, in memory of those who fought believing and never came home. Their courage deserved honesty, and tonight they will finally have it. This is Felix Exposé. The Untold Story: Why America Really Lost the Vietnam War. The story you were told, and the story you weren't. Textbooks teach a simple version. The jungle was too difficult. The guerrilla enemy was too resilient. The war was unpopular. The government restricted the military, but that's only half the truth. The other half? Hidden in intelligence files, declassified documents, and long silence testimonies. Because the real reason America couldn't win was brutally simple. North Vietnam always knew what was coming next. Not sometimes, not occasionally, almost every time. Bombing raids, ground movements, invasion plans, operational targets, supply drops. The enemy wasn't guessing, they were informed. The spy who sat inside the CIA's front door, Pham Xuan An, the journalist who won the war. To American officers in Saigon, he was funny, charming, helpful, a Time magazine journalist with great connections, but behind his Western suit was one of the greatest spies in modern history, and had direct contact with U.S. intelligence officers, access to military briefings, diplomatic gossip, reports from CIA contacts who trusted him, and every piece of information went straight to Hanoi. He didn't steal papers, he stole conversations, he shaped battles, he anticipated strategies, and in some ways, he shaped history more than any general. One Vietnamese general later admitted, "Half our victories came from An's information. The other half, from Soviet intelligence." Operation Lam Son 719, the invasion that never had a chance. 1971. America and South Vietnam launched a major offensive into Laos to cut the Ho Chi Minh Trail. On paper, brilliant. In reality, a disaster. Why? Because North Vietnam already knew. The invasion route, the helicopter landing zones, the timing, the resupply schedule, the troop numbers, the commanders involved. It was as if someone handed them the operation manual. They prepared 14 divisions, thousands of anti-aircraft guns, an ambush waiting like a steel trap. Helicopters fell, troops were surrounded. The mission collapsed. This wasn't poor planning. This was an enemy reading America's moves like a book, the Soviet shadow over Vietnam. People forget this. The Vietnam War was never just America versus Vietnam. It was America versus the Soviet intelligence machine. Moscow sent over 3,000 military advisors, radar technicians, missile engineers, signal intercept units, intelligence officers embedded with Vietnamese forces. They helped build SAM missile sites, radar networks, anti-aircraft grids, underground bunkers, communication lines. When American pilots flew near Hanoi, Soviet radar tracked them first. When B-52s took off from Guam, Soviet listening posts monitored the radio chatter. And when U.S. naval fleets moved, the Soviets often knew before American commanders in the Pacific did. How? Because American traitors were feeding Moscow the keys. The American traitors who changed the war. These are the names that stain history. John Anthony Walker, the man who sold America's military codes. For 18 years, Walker gave the Soviet Union naval encryption keys, submarine communication codes, fleet movement plans, secret message formats. This allowed Moscow and Hanoi to read U.S. military communications almost instantly. This meant bombing routes were predictable, naval operations were known, troop movements were compromised, strategic plans were at risk the moment they were typed. He wasn't just a traitor, He was a force multiplier for the enemy, and thousands died because of him. Aldrich Ames, CIA officer, Soviet asset. Ames revealed CIA analysis techniques, U.S. intelligence methods, assessments of communist military thinking. This allowed Moscow to teach Hanoi exactly how to avoid American detection. Samuel Loring Morrison, the satellite leaker, he exposed U.S. surveillance capabilities, what American satellites could and couldn't see. Where North Vietnam needed to hide, this helped Hanoi camouflage supply routes and build tunnel systems that bombs could never reach. The pipeline, how Moscow helped Hanoi outsmart the Pentagon. Here's how intelligence flowed. 1. American traitors leaked secrets to KGB handlers. 2. The KGB analyzed the data. 3. Soviet advisors in Hanoi passed the information directly to North Vietnamese command. 4th, Hanoi prepared, sometimes weeks in advance. This pipeline was so efficient that one North Vietnamese general later said, "We often knew American plans before their own field officers knew." How the U.S. tried to win a war while blindfolded? U.S. military commanders frequently complained. Bombing targets were restricted for political reasons. Enemy supply lines in Cambodia and Laos couldn't be hit. Rules of engagement changed mid-operation. Intelligence was outdated or unreliable. South Vietnamese corruption leaked sensitive plans America was fighting with. One hand tied behind its back, one eye blindfolded, and the enemy reading its playbook. No soldier, no matter how brave, could change that. The ending everyone saw coming, except Washington. When Saigon fell in 1975, to many it looked sudden, but Hanoi had prepared for years with precise intelligence. They knew which ARVN units would break early, which cities were weak when the U.S. would not intervene, how long the South's supplies would last. Some in Washington were shocked, the North Vietnamese were not. The end wasn't chaos, it was a masterclass in intelligence warfare. The real cost, the men who fought believing. This is where we remember them. The young soldiers who fought not knowing. Their missions were compromised, their movements were predicted, their strategies were already known, their sacrifices were decided before the battle began. They served with courage, they believed in their mission. They trusted the intelligence they were given, and many never came home. Tonight, this expose is for them, for the men whose bravery never wavered, even when the truth around them did, for the pilots shot down by missiles guided with stolen intelligence, for the Marines ambushed because the enemy knew they were coming, for every soldier who fought believing and never returned to the world they swore to protect. We honor them. We remember them. Conclusion. The Vietnam War was not lost by those who fought. It was lost by those who betrayed, by those who leaked secrets, by those who hid the truth, by those who valued politics over lives. The soldiers gave everything. The spies took everything away. History often praises the victors, but tonight, we honor the fallen. Today, we are still being betrayed. If you work in the intelligence community, take a moment, look to your left, look to your right, and imagine which one of the people around you could be the one selling secrets to the enemy. This has been Felix, revealing what others won't. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.